Should be able to hear you now.
All right.
I can see the game. What's up, everybody? Hello, hello.
Oh, I should pull up the chat and actually interact with you, huh? That'd be smart.
Yeah, if you want to talk to chat, you can. Although I'm sure chat will be nothing but the kindest about all the mistakes
Everybody.
that you're about to make.
Oh, dude. Wow, you started off so kind.
Yeah. Well, listen. For those who aren't aware, this is my friend Laser, and he has graciously decided to donate the some subs by wanting to play me in a money match for a few subs. So, but the stipulation was that it had to be on stream. So, for some
Dude,
reason,
I
he
got
believes LeBlanc is, or that is Yi that can beat my LeBlanc list. So,
dude, okay. That's not how this started.
yeah, I prefer
Other
that.
that story, okay, other people tagged me and was like, "Yo, this guy said it's 0%. Show him he's wrong." And I was like, "Okay, well, it's LeBlanc favored for sure, but it's
Yeah,
not 0%." And then they were like, "Yo, money match." And I was like, "Okay." So I got bullied by other people to now donate subs, which is fine because the community's good, but we'll see what happens.
of course. I don't know if I ever said 0%. Sometimes, you get into a hyperbole and all that. So,
I'm
uh,
sure that you just were, exaggerating it, but they took
yeah,
it
of
as
course.
serious and were like, "Yo, he said 0." And I'm like, "I'm sure he didn't mean 0, guys."
Yeah, when I say 0%, I mean that it's like there's no reason to do anything more in the matchup because you're already so favored, and it's like the one bad matchup that Yi has. So this is technically a set four list, even though I'm pretty sure I have zero set four cards in my list. This is just what Daniel told me to play, so I'm
All right.
trusting
I
him
mean,
for any LeBlanc stuff. So
I made a couple changes for set 4, not many. Most of the E stuff in my opinion revolves around how the meta shifts.
Mhm.
So, since it's so early, you don't really know what's going on. So, I mean, the set is pretty it's pretty set 3. The only changes I really made, and it's fine, you know it before we play, is like I just got rid of the Fioras because I imagine a lot of like PGE is gonna fall out of favor since no EV to grind for cards.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
think you'll see it less. So those cards are kind of out, and then in my opinion, Yi fails to. I think our like worst things are really like red spells and blue units. So you want to deal with like red spell casting, and then like basically Thousand Tail is kind of like the biggest issue I think with the deck. Like if your opponent draws 2,000 tails and they play them on curve, I feel like you kind of are just it's like a losing game.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Um, so you have your deck imported on Rift Atlas.
Yes, sir.
Cool. You're only gonna have to bear with me for a second. I'm gonna go really big. You can see my. I'm going to get better lighting in here so that when I host this, no one can see the code. I DMD the code.
Okay, I got it. You don't want to just post the code and then have like one of those like fighting
So if
game
I do
lobbies.
this,
There's
it
like
pops.
20 people in line ready to play, dude.
Yeah, no. I don't know. Oh, wait. I have to do best of three. Constructed. Standard. Okay. I probably got to be ready.
Got it.
All right. Boom. Now y'all can see what's going on. Should be fine. Okay. Neutral battlefields. It's been a while since I played LeBlanc too, so hopefully I do it some justice.
I think you'll be able to move a guy, make a guy, move a guy just fine.
You think I can do that?
I believe in you.
Wow, so generous. I think with this hand, actually I want to play this thing.
It's a
Pass. The
thing.
newest addition to our list, as Daniel wanted seven turn one plays. So it's like, you know what? We'll put in the one honest broker. It's like the only card that we've actually changed. So
Um,
hopefully everyone can hear correctly. By the way, audio kind of low. guess. Okay, let me see if I can turn him up a little bit. Yeah, this is like I said, this is my friend Laser. He top eighted at Charlie's and is has some other accomplishments, I'm sure.
Yeah, been riding that top eight, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So
Man, I think there's no way you're just gonna get both. Going first is so good in this matchup.
yeah. You guys heard it here
Um,
first. Go first if you want to win games. This is how you
yeah.
win money.
So check out my Metafy guide. Win the dice roll and just have it. Yeah, this is good.
So we copy this, discarding this. We will play this, trigger Star Spring, and then gank over
Yes, sir.
to draw a card. Pass to you.
Yep.
Yeah, these are his good people. So, like I said, he's so graciously donating us a bunch of money to the to the
For the
cause. So,
cause, dude.
yeah. Let's see. Where's the best place for me to actually put my camera? So I do that. It goes like over the score, like here.
Man,
You
such a
already
bad
you
place
can't
for me.
already be can't already be given up.
No, no, it's not a give up. It's just is it a go wide or is it a push? Well, I think it's just like a setup, which is fine. Go for here.
Collie. Okay. So
Yep.
this
That's
dies. Sorry, I gotta start doing the. Don't remember how to stop on upkeep. Stop at beginning phase. Okay. Perfect. So we make a gold off of that thing dying. I don't think I want to clone. I'm gonna play this guy here.
yep.
Should return the dignitary. Go into the seat of power.
Yep.
Go to 4 and we'll just draw a card. Play this.
Mm-hmm.
Treat out and Elbus. Any clue on set direction and Vendetta? Yeah, no real changes from Vendetta, unfortunately. That's the case for like most old decks. This is the most tech I've seen in a new list, and it kind of makes sense. You want some extra camels for your
Yeah, it actually
list.
helps retake is what's really good. You don't have to like spend a buff to go up to 6, so
Yeah.
kind of makes it a 6 on attack and a 6 on defense.
Hmm.
Um, this has a hook target. Rex is an issue. All right, well we'll just do the obvious. Go in here, pass.
Sure. So
Yep.
this will die, and I'll draw a card.
Yeah, go to 1, and then we'll do the old faithful.
Yeah, the temp unit didn't hold, but I scored with the dignitary, so that's why I went down to 3 and then back up to 4. Yes, that was good. I will ramp
Yeah.
1.
Go to 2. I'm gonna draw for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, play this guy in base. We'll buff her,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll just pass.
Nothing on beginning phase. Guess I do want to kill a Sakali, so everybody's favorite card.
So
Pretty
good.
here. I think it's actually, is it even good here? Maybe this is greedy. Let me not do that. Get some free info. The only issue with
Damn
this
good.
is because you go down to 1, or we go down to 2, then you go down to 1 over here, up to 3, punch first up to 8. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably not ideal. If I play this plus this, maybe that's a little stronger. Gives me some extra options next turn. Okay, I think this is actually better. This is one tip I always give to people playing this deck, is sometimes people get a little too impatient.
All right. Go to 4.
Do the same.
All right, target.
A lot of people asking about Draven. Yeah, I think Draven's pretty good. We will be having a tier list come out this week is the current intention. So
All right. Um. All right. First thing, let's just charm the Rex into the Akali
yeah.
67, and then where would you like to do your Rex trigger?
I hit the Poro. I can hit this first mate. I think we want to do the Poro denies a card. We'll just do the. Oh, well, I guess the first mate you can save. I'll go with the Poro. Why not?
Okay, poor dead, no trigger. Um, let's do this and play this guy, back this guy up. I'm gonna draw.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And- all right. I'm cool with the pass.
Big pass, huh?
Huge pass.
It was rather large. I don't really see a ton of a reason to do anything here. I can, but I think once I get set up, the game just ends. Obviously, there's like a million things I could do here, but let's just play this,
Sure.
play this, and I'll pass. Can't kill a Kali. She can't be chosen. But again, with this deck, you don't gotta do any of all that. Let your opponent score to 6. That doesn't matter.
Yeah. The washer is pretty good, as I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be at what, 11?
Nope, gold decklist should be the same. I think that we have a decklist channel for all of the highest tier stuff. The only thing is the challenger decklist is a little bit outdated, sort of. You need to go into individual people's decklists just because right now we're like testing so many things. We don't know what we actually like. So I would assume, yeah, if you go into the team decklist forum, then Anton's list has his current Draven list. But yeah, should be just
Gonna
under the
back up,
interest.
slam this.
Yep.
Kind of weird to give it up to you, but it's I think sitting is the wrong move.
Sometimes what you gotta do, huh?
Yep.
So move this, and that will trigger. And recycle, recycle.
Mhm.
Score at 5. Copy this, discarding this. I will. Let's go for. What's the most might here? Guess I can do this plus that. That'd be a lot of might. Let's go into here.
Um, all right, give me a sec. You gotta do some math.
Sure thing.
Uh, yeah, I think this is good. I think you just go to 6.
Cool. So go
Cool.
to 6. I guess the awkward part about this, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So draw a card. Yeah, missequence this. So I'm gonna hook the copy of Rift Herald. Is that good?
Yeah.
5. Play this to here.
Okay.
This to base. Floating, I guess floating to energy. This
What's
will
your
pop up
target for
a
that?
E.
I'm gonna chain to that and slam here.
Okay. So this will die. Ramp 1. We will come in here. Playing the Vi.
Makes it. Are you 9? 9,
Yeah,
right?
9 tier 8.
Assault. Yep.
I
We
don't
have
get to
it.
reconquer because that's not how that works. Play this here. Play this here. And so there you go. See if you can break me.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
Yeah, sorry, billionaire. That's one of those things when we have like our gamer tags, I always like forget sometimes that yeah, we don't always go by people don't always know us by that.
All right. I'm going to discipline on the Akali.
Mm-hmm.
Draw. So let's see. I'm at 3.
Yes, we're doing this for the people. Just playing some games. I mean, honestly, as much as we are like a Riftbound gaming channel, it's not as often we do that. So
Let's do it again. 9. What are you defending here for total? 11, 13, 20.
20 and
Damn,
9.
can we break 20?
That would be quite impressive. I'm not used
I
to you
mean,
being able to break 20 from this spot, but maybe you can.
yeah. Problem is, even if I break 20, I know you have Watcher, and I'd have to be
Yeah.
able to remove. It's gonna be rough. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Let's go for another one. Just have
Oh
all
my
the
God.
buffs.
That's okay. That's a big Akali. It's a big girl.
Uh, so we had 7 and 4 is 11.
Yeah.
We'll move at 13. Mm, hold on, hold on. We're thinking. We're thinking. We're thinking. We might get there.
Okay. That's scary.
Okay.
Scary thoughts. Double punchies. I don't think double punchies does it.
What do you have in your trash?
Nothing currently that matters. Just a dignitary.
Okay. All right. Let's go here for 5 and pass you.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna kill the mixologist.
Okay, so this will die. Let me figure out where I want to play this. So she is currently a 11. She'll become 13. I'm currently
Mm,
15. So if I go to 17, then you are going to punch first me, I guess is your goal here. Then, oh, interesting. Oh, so 17, and then it would go to 16. Ah, so that is a lethal line that you potentially have. It'd be crazy, but
so we have 17,
yeah,
right? So I
hmm
have. All right. Well, let's do the thingy. That
sure.
gives me 18.
Yep.
1, 2, 3,
Play
4,
this.
5. 1,
Get a
2.
gold. I'll
Yeah.
kill the crab. I guess I'll play this.
Sure.
Here's my hand.
Sure. I get a draw because I can't go to 8.
Mm-hmm. Did you hit
And
it?
then we hit it,
Oh my
boys.
god. Was
We're
that off the
fucking in it.
draw?
No, I had it.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yo, not bad for 0%. Not bad.
Okay, pretty good. Damn, got me by exactly one. I was not playing around. Triple discipline punch first mate, but I guess I should have. That's my
Yeah,
bad.
man. You got to just have it, you know? It's in
Yeah,
the
just
guide.
have it. Shows my rust with this deck, but I don't know if there's anything I could have done differently. Maybe. So, swap this. This goes in. Don't really like this card against them because they just like defy it anyways. Do you know what happens if a reflection clone gets temporal breached? I think it just gets banished forever because as soon as tokens leave, they don't get to come back. So I don't need this. Do you think LeBlanc is good in the current meta? I think it is still in like the same tiering. The only issue with LeBlanc is I think there's more purple than ever, so that's why LeBlanc is like kind of the counter to a lot of these other mid-range decks. But with her potentially going out of the meta, it could be a little rough for her. Do I want to keep this? Sure.
He always has it, dude. He's too good.
And you want me to not have a turn one play? That's
I
how
mean,
rude
it
of
would
you.
be helpful. It would be helpful.
I'm not trying to be helpful.
Come on, man.
Just trying to play my game here.
Sure. Um,
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my take when it comes to all the gamer tag stuff too, is like I don't want to be known as anything other than just Colin. I'm 31 at this age, like does this stop at beginning phase not carry over? Okay, that's good to know. Um so we get gold.
mhm.
Hmm. Then we could start holding a little greedy. Let's see if you have like
I mean, you already know my entire hand is nothing but buff spells, right? Like, it's just
yeah,
all of them.
it's just all the buff spells. That's
Mm-hmm.
all that you have. It's buff spells. Huh?
Yeah.
Don't think I need to. So I'll go to 4 here.
Yes, sir.
Do I want to bounce this thing? Now with the new ruling, I have to actually pay
Yeah.
the energy to
Get the
do
token.
so. Maybe the carded is that's past to you.
Yep. Um,
The Dreaming Tree guy is the coolest nickname ever. I'll have him post his E list after for those who are interested. Sure thing.
all right. Go here, go to 1. Go here, try to go to 2.
Hmm?
Sorry, I'm just so used to getting gusted for the last 3 months, you know?
I don't have any. You've been getting gusted out of E? That seems rare. You at least have like discipline to counter it, right?
Develop a little bit of a backline. Pass.
Nothing on beginning. Let's go in here and I will pass focus.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, you got it. Let's see what you got.
Okay, I have these cards in my hand.
Those are all so good, dude.
They are good cards. I can agree with you on that front.
Yeah, they are
Um,
good.
so let's move in here. Oh, wait, so 5 points. Going to here 6. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do all of this.
Yeah.
Stun her because I'm in combat, so she can be chosen.
Yep. Yep. Um, I'm gonna rip a discipline. I just want the draw.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, we're good. This is dead.
Go 6. Um, kind of don't want this thing to get ran over for free. At least make you use something. And yeah, that's you.
Man.
Lost to Galio plus Key Barrier. Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, we do it on the E.
Sure.
I told you I had all the buff spells, man.
Yeah, I heard so.
All right, I'm in, and I'm ripping it on guard, so I'm 8 tier 7.
You got it.
All
Make
right,
a
cool.
gold. Make a LeBlanc. I'll be in
Sure.
base.
Sure. Let's there's like no good options here.
Yeah, I prefer
We
Alice
pro
over TCGA. It's just a cleaner platform.
um let's do this for a draw.
I think any leaders being slept on. No?
Let's charm over your LeBlanc, I guess.
Which one? The blue one or the yellow one?
I'm thinking because you're gonna lose this token anyway, right? So give you another draw.
Well, the token doesn't die while LeBlanc is there, so.
No, I'm saying you'll be able to like pull. Oh yeah, that's true. Hmm. What is better than? Well, you have another stun. Does he get the LeBlanc? Doesn't matter. No, I'll take the blue LeBlanc actually.
Okay. Your funeral.
And yeah, we'll see. I feel like it's a risk play to win later if if I top deck good because I'm not winning from this position anyway.
Yeah, well, you're not
Let's
surviving from this position anyway, so play this.
sure.
Uh, going to in my beginning phase.
Oh
Mirror
yeah, you
image
have
of
everything.
Vi.
All right, we go game 3.
And
You smoke
I'm
me.
gonna play it. Wait, I gotta play the other Vi from
All right,
hand
I
too.
play it. Yeah. You got me. You
Is
got me.
this good?
Yeah, it's good. It's super good. Damn.
Okay.
Going first on Windswept with a 2-drop is so good.
Yeah, typically you win those games as it turns out. So no, I don't have Aspirant's Climb anymore, which is the scary part.
Oh, what's the 3 then?
Uh, you you want to? I'm not gonna let you know. Like then
I mean,
it's
my sideboard's locked in already. It doesn't matter. But
I see. Daniel said to put Star Spring in there. No,
wait,
so that's what I or not Star Spring. Amateur Recital. That's the other one. Sorry, brain fart. I don't think we need Anna Sparkers going second because we have access to dignitaries. So seems fine. You have your own Star Spring.
mm-hmm.
That's cute.
Thanks, dude.
Of course.
All right, like the guide said, we had it.
Having it is much better than not having it.
Go to 1.
Yeah.
Go to 2.
Oh. Hmm. I can't let you go to 4 for free here.
All right, what you can?
So I think I want to break the Star Spring.
You're talking about 8 total.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, not much I can do, right? 5, 8. Yeah, you're good.
Got a one. Copy. Do I want to copy? Yeah, I think I do. Don't need this stork. And this lets me ramp to from this into this.
Uh, no recital trigger, right? There's no point.
Alright, any League of Legends champion or leader I'm looking forward to in the game. Alawi is like my main in League of Legends, so that'll be cool.
We go here.
Oh yeah, that's a kind of a weird rule that exists in the game, the whole losing energy if you float it thing. Some people get got by that. I couldn't attack with just Black Rose because its first main is Yi, so it's a 5 might. If it wasn't for the case, then yeah, I would force him to do a spell because just trading it off is fine by me. Yeah, we've tried a little bit of the Kinnan hook list, but I don't think it's that great. So here, um,
Yesterday's event was like literally just all Cannon and Jace. It felt like it was crazy.
yeah, I think I can just play. Question is if I leave some stuff here to like try and contest, or if I just go home. I guess I was doing that. I would have copied. So if I go home, then I'm kind of committed to playing this next turn plus this, I guess, or this plus this, or this. And the main issue is that breaking back in is really annoying. So maybe I do.
The classic LeBlanc hold coming in.
Doesn't feel great to do, knowing that, I mean, you have so many outs to just break me. So maybe I can't. This deck is doing all the math behind it, saying that, you know what, this is fine. Yeah, I see a lot of people asking about set 4 meta. We'll get into that after the match here. We got plenty of time to chat about set 4 meta and do some Q&A for everybody who's excited for the new set.
Um,
Oh,
let's see what I'm
yesterday,
working
so
with here. Can I even hit anything? I doubt it,
no,
but
you
no.
know.
Okay. So we have another Vi.
Yep.
Man, so good. Um,
You gotta send it to me, man. Maybe it's something we can work on stream or something if you want some to share with the people.
copy. I'm gonna go here to go to 4. Actually, I'm gonna go
Sure.
to the left to go to 4.
Also sure.
Okay. Go to 5. No, I think I say 4. I pass.
Pass. Oh, all
Hmm.
right. So let's get in there. If you ringer, you go to 8. So yeah, let's go here. We'll
Sure, stun.
stun
Yeah,
stun the loneliest Poro.
it's fine. I'll take the draw.
Yeah. We'll go to 3. We'll discard this. Clone the mixologist. I'll play a Rift Herald.
Mm-hmm.
I think to the battlefield. I could play it in base. Decisions. Hmm. Sure. So we're currently link for 15. You can easily break this. Yeah, we'll just play. Alright, I'll stick with my gut. When in doubt, stick with your gut.
Sounds good. Um,
Yeah, I got a Kinnin token
uh,
list. I will show people that are interested in. Because I got a few Kinnin lists, and I'm still kind of internally testing what I think the best Kinnin is. But I think my list currently is solid, but yeah, you're always welcome in my DMs, Manch. You know that.
I'm just gonna go here and go to 5.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Uh, you had a Vine hand. You had a 1-drop.
Yep, it's a Vine and Unknown card. Is
Okay.
what I have in hand.
Yeah. Oh no, because you discarded Watchful Sentry. My bad. Okay. Um, I'm just gonna pass. See how you play
Okay,
this on
oops.
odds.
It kind of. So I'm gonna have this sack.
Yep.
Play this to here.
Okay.
Um, Trigger. Come into here. And here. I
Okay.
will stun this and then pass focus.
I will take the draw.
Go to 5. Play this here. Already triggered Star Springs in a timing window. 3, 6, and let me set a stop on upkeep because I guess am I supposed to clone this Vi, make things slightly more awkward? No, my hand's so good. It's really hard to want to do that. 3, 6, 8, 9. I would go into 11. Maybe I'm not supposed to play this LeBlanc then. So that I save it for next turns. The next turn I can do this, 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 this if I need to. I feel so weird creating a situation where we're both just passing with the entirety of our energy up.
Well, I
Maybe,
mean,
maybe it's
yeah.
correct.
I don't,
Because, so the thing I'm thinking about here, Chad, is that if I play this, then I lose the easy ability to trigger Star Spring next turn, which is maybe relevant.
yeah, but you're
But maybe I don't need Star Spring because I have access to this. Plus this next turn. It's gonna go to 6. Yeah. I think maybe don't. No. Because what does 3 might do? I'm currently holding for 13. Maybe having this extra might. Okay. Sure. I'll stick with my gut and I'll just pass.
okay.
That's awesome, Ping Eagle. I want to work on more fundamental videos for the YouTube as well. I think is one of my long-term goals, kind of in between all the travel that I got going on, and basically when we have some downtime and there aren't like active meta stuff to do, I want people to improve their fundamentals so that they're able to be better for the next sets and stuff. So yeah, I don't think I need to burn any of these resources because my reasoning is that I'm currently holding for
Go.
5. Yeah.
Let's go 4 here and just kill your LeBlanc and your Sentry.
Okay, that's fine. These will die,
Okay.
and I will draw 2.
Yeah. Then I will slam this guy
Yeah.
and Six. Another six. Boom.
Yes, you're currently at 11 to my
And
12.
yeah. And then boom.
Okay. So you're on 5. I have a million options here. What
Yep.
do I want to do? So you're currently a 13?
6, 5, 2. So 7, 6. Yeah, 13.
13. If I play this and then you have a second punch first, kind of sick. Well, that'd have to be second punch first plus. No, I guess just second punch first. I'm kind of sick. So I'm assuming if you're making this a line, you probably have another first mate and you're trying to double clear here. So, yeah, the issue is this plays in base, so I don't have. So there's a couple of things I can do. I can sacrifice the mixologist to play something and move Shelly back.
Mhm.
That's not. I can also just play this and force a second punch first. Wait. Oh, the punch first is currently on the stack. Um,
My bad. We'll get rid of those.
yeah, just a little risky because after that it leaves you holding both. Make sure I don't lose the game to punch first mate here if I do that. Because I would be on this many runes. I would sacrifice this, but I get to play this plus. I think I just have to say you don't have it. Because otherwise, if I just go for the sacrifice route, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Alright. Unless this at least burns the punch first. It's not like I lose if you have it.
Uh,
You
well,
got another
I
punch
don't have.
first?
I got this
Ooh.
first. Good.
Digging for it. Yeah.
And just even trade, I guess, at this point. Unfortunately.
Okay. Ooh, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was.
so,
I was. I was hoping that you, knowing I knew you had it, you wouldn't do it, but
uh-huh.
you did it. So
Yeah, well,
all that
that's,
does.
so this will replay here. Shelly will play a Shelly, and then Liz will die.
I think it's pretty much just gonna be what, 7. I go 6. I go here. It's really tough. It's gonna come to top deck.
I don't know what you think you can top deck here, but I'm
The
excited to see
dream.
it.
Hey man, you
Yeah.
didn't think I could get game 1, remember?
But this lone crab's gonna do it. Okay. I'm excited to see it. Let's I guess move this here. Oh wait, I guess amateur recital trigger. I can move this home. Maybe just hold for one big battlefield, and
That's pretty good.
that's what I got.
Yeah, that's probably enough.
Let's
We
see it.
draw. We
Triggered what for Star Spring? No, it's per turn cycle, so I hadn't played anything on my opponent's turn. So I could have like played something and like retreat out the Shelly, but the Shelly was gonna play a Shelly anyways. So I think it's just better to force him to have exactly double punch first plus first mate. So oh, I forgot the Herald move trigger. Wait. Oh yeah, you're right. Miss trigger.
think that's it, man.
You don't think the crabs can clear
Nah, they can't do
22
it.
might?
Too much in the hand. I really
Yeah.
needed the left side to win, and I was hoping. Really, what kind of screwed it was the turn before when you decided not to Deceiver or when not to LeBlanc trigger,
Mm-hmm.
because I was gonna go back in on Amateur on the LeBlanc trigger with Punch,
Yeah.
Reconquer, go 6, and then play from there. But you
Yeah.
decided not to trigger anything in full hold, which was really
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah. It's almost like I've played this
Uh,
game before.
oh my god,
I didn't want a single trigger on the stack. I was like, nope, no ring
who,
guard timing for you.
bro? What guides do you buy? Must be Challenger guides.
Yeah,
Must
yeah,
be really good.
exactly. Go to
Uh,
metafy.gg/challenger TCG to get your Metafy guides. Learn to play
Um,
like the king.
yeah. So then when you didn't do that, I was like, all right, well, I have so many cards that I have to play, hoping you outthink it. You know what I mean? And then
Hmm.
go for yeah, hoping you let Starspring go. I did have the first mate, but I don't even know if that's actually the right play on odds.
Yeah.
I could first mate in and then
I
like
mean, I think you
charm
kind
what you get
of
off.
had to. Yeah, you just want to go for that
Yeah.
to make things as
Yeah,
awkward as possible.
the rest of the hand is really dead. Here, hold
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bunch of do nothings. So that makes
on.
sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, you're not breaking with a crab with that hand. I'll tell you that much.
No, 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 no. But the charms, I was like, well, let's see what he drops like here and there. Maybe we get in like off some charm shit, but
Yeah.
too
Exactly.
much. All
GG's.
right. GG's.
Well, and just like I said, wrote it up. It is an unlosable matchup. You all should not be losing to
0%.
you. Yeah, 0%. There were a couple of spots where you made it close. I probably punted that game one. I can always watch it back, but I haven't played LeBlanc, and especially into you having triple discipline punch first. I maybe should have played around like some sort of weird double punch first mate line a little bit better, but
You just gotta have it, dude.
yeah, just gotta have it. Nice.
Uh,
Oh, wow, look at this awesome LeBlanc and advertised here on Rift Atlas for those who want to learn to play LeBlanc like the king. Actually, I think Daniel's done most of the updates now that he's been doing his thing, but alright. Set guide is currently hidden just because it's been kind of outdated for a little bit. I think I might try and update it at some point if people are really interested in playing set 4, but it's not really much of a reason to anymore, so that's why all of our guides have been like a update for 2 sets and then call it a day. Yo, Laser, thanks for the 10 subs
Yo, there it
on our
is.
Twitch channel.
That was the match.
What did your homies think about you getting your ass beat?
I mean, I'm hopefully I'm still the people's champ, but it
Of
is what it
course, of
is.
course. I'll still make sure to get you that hat at some point. Appreciate your time.
Hell yeah. I'm
This
all
is
right.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
we should do it more often, but I'm interested now to hear your take on this meta because I'm a resident doomer whenever there's a new set that comes out.
sure, yeah. I can talk a little bit about the meta here. I think that'll be kind of our the rest of the stream is just me yapping for the chat to talk about it. Like I said, we're doing a tier list later, which gives a little bit of a more of a take on it, but yeah. So
Are you the part of the Doom crowd or not when there's a new box? Like I'm not very much like on the deck building side. So
mhm.
whenever whenever a new set comes out, the community always tries to find like the quickest, most broken thing, and then like a couple weeks later, the meta kind of settles down, and that's
Right.
more when I'm like, all right, time to be like a pilot, and then make small little tweaks here and there and refine, and then that's when I really like start enjoying the game and playing. But like building fundamentally from the ground up is not my jam, so like watching all these crazy like Kennen Miracle decks come out, they just make me sit here going like, oh, why do I play this game? What is happening?
Yeah, I think I'm not really much of a doomer. The only thing that I'm a doomer about is that I don't have like my pet deck anymore. Not being able to play set is very disheartening, of course. But
just just
yeah.
for the EV value because no best ofs, or because you think it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
actually not playable?
I mean, I never thought set was like that good. That's like a top 15, top 20 deck, right? So
Hmm.
discussing the meta and stuff like that is yeah, I don't know. It's not good enough to really crush a metagame in my opinion. So yeah.
Ooh, can I get the scoop? Can I get the exclusive scoop? Does that mean set makes a return at nationals for you to go for the overnumber set?
There's a good chance that maybe I will, but I don't know. It's really tough when there's like so much theoretical value gained. And sets like in the kind of the awkward spot where I do want an overnumber best of just to like have it to, so my little best of can have a bigger best of to go next to it. But I also want like a world's invite as well, obviously. So it really comes down to if there's like I don't know, something I really jive with and set 5, right? So, but I think the overnumber best ofs will all be worth so much money that they'll probably be very similar to current regionals, especially because Worlds is only top 8. So, like, even me as a good player who's consistently topped with even bad decks, like, I'm kind of delusional in a field of only people who have ever previously top 64'd right? So only good players to think that like top eight is a consistent thing, right? In a card game.
Yeah.
So
Do you guys have like an idea of what you think the number of actual like attendance will be? Because I think you basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you get the option if you won, regardless of NA or an EU event, you get to choose where you want to go.
mhm.
So do you like, I'm sure you guys are all analytical way beyond where I'm at. So like, do you think you know how many people will actually show up to this like Vegas national, like,
Well, I can
like
give. I don't know if our sheet
plus or
is
minus 300?
updated or if I even have access to it. Um, and there was at some point we had like a list of the amount of invites that are out because there's I think it's like 11 invites times 64, right?
Hmm.
Manch has it. Yeah, I don't know if you're still here, Manch, but I know you. He has a spreadsheet that basically shows the amount of invites that are there. But Prismat's gotten an invite from everything, so he's burned 7 invites. I've gotten either 5 or 6 invites, so I burned 3 to 4 invites, right?
Yeah, I know they don't do
So
pass downs in this game, but there
yeah.
was a discussion that they might implement it later, but I've never heard any official like take that they were going to do that. And I feel like it might be too late logistically now,
Hmm.
because like we're what, 4 months roughly from the national, and they would have to go through all the data and then tell all these people like, hey, get ready to fly to Vegas. I don't know. I
Yeah,
feel like if it was gonna
exactly.
happen, it would have happened by now.
So here's the spreadsheet. Yeah, pull it up on the stream.
Yeah, I gotta
So
pop your stream open.
we have the number of qualified people is 447 currently. Now, obviously, we have 3 more events that currently exist.
Hmm.
So the most that can be, as for those who are just joining in, we're talking about the regionals that these things actually qualify for. Because these, as much money as we're playing for in these events, they're actually still qualifiers. So technically 192 plus 447. So 639 is the most amount of people that can be qualified. But there are also 74 people with 2 invites. So, it could be like, it's just divided by 2 and then plus 74. So the maximum we can have is 393 at each event, I think is how the math on that works. Wait,
Okay.
that seems like a lot, actually. Because I don't think there are that many invites given out in
Well,
total.
I'm assuming you mean players with 2 invites is players with two or more, right?
Yes. And
Okay.
but now we're seeing towards the end of this these consistent players. So we have like 9, 20, is this 39, 46, 55 wasted spots currently. And then if the math continues, there'll be like another probably 30 wasted spots for the next 3 RQs.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think in general, I'm expecting about 350 on each side for EU and NA is about like what I'm expecting for the regionals. So
So y- so you have currently 373, and then you add roughly 54 times 3. So that's like 162. So you'll have like a total of 535 or something. But then you can choose where you want to go with your one invite,
mhm.
right? Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
They
So
they haven't done anything about how late from December the EU like national would be, right?
no, unfortunately, I'm looking through it right now, but yeah, we don't have any of the information on the EU regional, so
Yeah,
it's just
because
the info we have.
I imagine that info's got to be pretty relevant to the EU players thinking like, is it worth it for me to come to Vegas in December, spend the money
Hmm.
and the time, and then try to get another, if there's another qualifier after, to get another invite to play in EU so they could get 2 shots at a world invite. Like that makes the most sense to optimize your chance, but they don't know if that's even feasible.
Yeah. So I don't know. Some people have been talking about LCQs as well. I don't really know if there will be or not. I don't think they've officially announced any LCQ stuff or anything like that. So,
My feedback to Riot, and I'll throw it out here on stream and get your take. So I think there's a pretty big um, gap between playing locally and playing like traveling, right? Like
mm,
not everyone gets to go to every RQ and get the time and the money, the time off, the PTO, that kind of stuff. But I also feel like there's like a big, even a gap between like a local player and people who even want to do skirmishes. So for context, the
Sure.
store I play at, every Tuesday night we get 40 people for Nexus night. Our skirmishes like hit like 16 players because they don't see the value in playing like 8 rounds of Swiss, and really the only person who gets like something of value is the person who wins it, right?
Mm.
So my feedback was, why not just make, if you hit enough skirmish wins, and they have to have some sort of like uh it's got to be like some sort of number to it, like let's say it's 10 skirmish wins in a calendar year, but those skirmishes have to have a minimum amount of entrants. They can't be like 4-person burns that go in 2 rounds. But if you hit enough skirmish wins, you get a regional or a national invite so that you could be a local player who's grinding for something.
Yeah, I
Like,
do like the idea of that used to be a thing in Magic where there were like elos and stuff like that where you could qualify based on that. Or I think it was in Flesh and Blood actually, where it was they wanted to support local scenes where if you're just like an active player and you're very good, but you never really have the time to travel, then you're still able to qualify based on elo projects and stuff like that. And I think that's a cool system. It's really hard to track. Is the biggest thing I think that they're currently working through, but it's definitely good. Something I'll give them some feedback on, assuming that they listen
yeah.
to me.
I mean, I threw it to them, and if they listen to me, that'd be great too. But like, because I played Yu-Gi-Oh growing up, and that was just like drive to a regional. But
Hmm.
I was having this conversation earlier this week about how there's just like not enough events that qualify you for these bigger things in Riftbound right now. Which year one, they're growing. I'm not being like negative on it. I'm just stating kind of like the obvious. But like this month alone for like regionals for a Yu-Gi-Oh to go to Yu-Gi-Oh Nationals right now, I think there's like 30 events you can go through in the US.
Yeah,
So it's like there's a lot of stuff you can do on a smaller scale, and that's obviously like I guess what they're trying to aim for with the Showdown series. And I never played Pokemon, but I've heard that like in Pokemon you have to grind locally to earn a regional invite. And I was like, that seems fun too. And then they could do something on the local level to get people kind of like engaged to put in the time to get better, to grind, to have like a, something to achieve for. I think it would be like a good system, but I don't know
yeah,
how hard that actually would be to track. But
yeah. It definitely becomes a little difficult for them to track, but I don't know. I we still have a lot to learn about it. I think a lot of what we're seeing with Riftbound right now, from my personal opinion and just knowing a little bit about the dev cycle when it came out, was that the game was a little rushed, and for some reason they didn't even think that people would want this over in North America, which is why China had like an early release, and then they ended up having to scramble in order to get a North American release, and then ever since then they've just kind of been rushing to get as much out as they possibly can. And that's why we've seen a lot of like the awkwardness that comes with the early years of a card game where like our promos are not the greatest. We have like a bunch of the same arts with just like little circles or whatever. That's just due to
yeah,
them not really having enough time to print it all. And we're seeing that with like potential alt arts and stuff as time goes on with like the regional and all
yeah,
that. And then, them expanding to like having the alt art best ofs because again, they didn't think for some reason they didn't think the best ofs would be a big deal over here. Um, Even though obviously they've been all that anyone's ever really cared about are the best ofs and metal cards in terms of pricing. So since then they've been like, okay, well now let's try and make something a little bit cooler with these overnumbered best ofs as well. So,
I remember
but
the Blitzcrank promo for winning the first skirmish didn't even have a champion
yeah,
thing on it because they didn't even
exactly.
do that then. Yeah,
Yes. So there's like little steps that they're taking, and it obviously is a little bit slow, but that's just because Riot is a big corporation and all that, right? So it's getting everything approved takes some time. So my without the at the risk of not sounding like a shill, I think that I expect things to be doing much better in next year. Once they've really gotten some time to get their foot in the door and figure out what it is that they want to do, So
yeah. I think they have a huge opportunity. So I'm not a League player. If anyone's ever seen me at an event, I'm always wearing a Dota 2 backpack. I asked actually Dave to sign it at the Houston Regional, and he was like, "I don't think that's a good idea." I was like, I thought it'd be pretty funny." But
yeah.
I think they have a huge opportunity with like the nationals coming up or the worlds, whichever event they do. But I'll use you for the example since you're on stream, and we'll push some Challenger TCG stuff. But I think if you win that event on whatever legend you're playing, I think you should get to design a one of one artwork card, metal foil legend that never gets printed again. It's just for you. And then they make a non metal foil version of it. And they either put it in the next booster box or the next Nexus Knight. And the big chase, like the equivalent of like the Baron Ultimate, is that card with your signature on it. I
Yeah.
think that is like a hype as shit way to cement like your first Worlds winner in like a
Hmm.
crazy way. So
Yeah.
that was some feedback I gave them at events. They thought it was cool. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I'm gonna say it here in case it happens. That was
Yeah.
my
It's
idea.
it's recorded out for the people. People
Yeah,
can know that it was said here first on the stream.
yeah.
Cool.
So
Yeah, we'll see how things go. I'm still excited for Riftbound, but yeah, that's my take on all of it is that it's I know it can always feel a little bit daunting when we're in like the first year and it's not like everything is not exactly perfect, but the game is succeeding way beyond right dreams and stuff like that. So things aren't ever gonna go away. This is just the start of Riftbound. So, but cool. All
yeah,
right, I appreciate your
peace.
time, Laser. I'm gonna do some meta talk and stuff like that for people because that seems to be all anyone ever wants to talk about when the set first comes out, right?
Yeah, I know the thing I can't stand. So I'll get out of here. It was a pleasure playing. Enjoy the subs.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
till next time, have a good one.
Yep, peace.
Peace.
Always a good guy. See, I saw a Bork selling for 5K in London. Is this a scam price or have they actually spiked? The top 8 Borks match? I think they've gone up a little bit. I mean, previously, even before like all the market going crazy, the Borks were, I think I sold mine for like 2.53K. But yeah. We have a tier list video coming out later, so Anton, like when I was talking to him, he was like, we can't do tier lists for a little while because we gotta have people actually watch the tier list later. If I just put it up here, people are gonna click through the VOD, they'll come to right this point and call it a day. But he didn't say anything about me using my words, so I just can't physically make a tier list. That's what I'm banned from doing. Um, so yeah. Let's I can get into some questions now, some meta discussion. Yeah, talking about the total qualifications. I do expect the next 3 events to have like a bunch of wasted spots just based on the amount of players that we've had, but I expect to like maybe 350 is the number I was gonna say, assuming that there's no LCQs, but they haven't announced an LCQ yet, so I would assume that there isn't anything, but maybe there is. Um, I can talk about some of my canon lists, sure. So there's a couple of lists that I've been working on personally, and um, I think I'm selling the pork top 8 for 2. Seemed like a good price to buy in. Yeah, 2K is a good price. I would buy it for that, so not a bad price at all. Yo, catch Jose with the raid of 61 people. Appreciate it. Welcome everybody, or just you guys are just in time to start talking about some set 4 stuff. So I'll answer questions as I can. So I see someone asking about set. So far, the only thing that I've been interested in doing is subbing out my challenges for rampages. Outside of that, I haven't really thought of changing too much. There's some theoretical cards that are good, but my issue with subbing anything out for like Ambessa or Jace or all that sort of stuff is that they're all going to be really bad into Starcross, which is like our only real bad matchup anyways, or the heavy Starcross decks. So I'm not really none of them are like protection from Starcross yet, so I haven't worked through that. I think that there might be some room for like Camel slash GP into the new meta of mostly purple, especially into the all Ezreal stuff. You probably have to put in some room for camels, but that's kind of my take. So insights on Kaisa. That's a weird one. I don't think we have. I don't think Kaisa's really changed much. Let me see if there's anything crazy. And the other thing, I know someone was asking about the Lux list. Does anyone have a link to the current Lux lists that people have been talking about? Better we can get ready to face the French squad. Yeah. I'm not too worried about the French squad. They're gonna go down in the Nations Clash, so. But you know what? You can come hang out. As I talk about the meta, you might get some insights into some of the lists we'll be playing. Breach makes Kaisa go crazy. I don't know what we're abusing with Breach, but maybe. Obviously, Brittle Steel is like a good sideboard card for Kaisas if you're looking for that. I don't really believe in this decree. I don't think it's not enough to answer the Aurelia problem realistically. Don't think Dredge Up is great. We aren't really doing Empower stuff, so this doesn't really do anything. I think honestly, yeah, Temporal Breach is maybe something that you could consider doing like the Rockfall Path Temporal Breach, which I also found really funny that after Alex trashed on Rockfall Path in set 2, there's always something that makes that card a little bit more playable. With the introduction of Ambush in set 3 and then now Temporal Breach in set 4, there's always a reason to Rockfall Path. I was in the grand finals of Nova's tournament yesterday. Oh, interesting. There you go. Guess this is the new Lux list that people are scared of. Okay. Um, yeah, I need to see if it's probably on Rift X, right? Yeah, here we go. Perfect. So we can take a look through some of these lists in a second. So this is a Lux deck that people have been like very afraid of, and it makes sense where I understand the purpose of this deck, where like if you untap with this applied researchers, then you win the game probably. The issue is like getting to that point does not seem super feasible. So I don't think that this variation has really changed that much for this deck, to be completely honest with you. That makes it any better. Um, like I just don't know. Obviously with like dredge ups and stuff like that, yeah, sure. So I mean my take on the list is it's maybe slightly better just because it's a low cost into the matchups that don't have base removal, then applied researchers will just win the game. But what deck doesn't have base removal? And because like this Lux deck is built around the idea that you are just doing absolutely nothing, then they can just leave like a 1 might unit on each battlefield. You have no way to interact with that, and then they just like hold up their Starcross for applied researchers or something. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you untap with applied researchers, you win the game. Like that's not a question to me. My question is like, how are we untapping with applied researchers into a field of every deck playing 3 Starcross, and then like just expecting them to not have Starcross? That just seems delusional to me. Um, yeah, I do like Breach as a card, being able to protect all your stuff and focus on so all that sort of stuff. So that's my take with this deck list. Um, yeah, if you're the only like slightly different thing if you're playing into the Lux combo deck is you need some amount of base removal, but about outside of that, like if they're it even gives you more chances to win, where if they like try to go all in on applied researchers and you just kill it, like they just lose the game. So I'm based on how this deck works, I do know that if you do untap with a empowered applied researchers, then you probably win the game because eventually you're gonna get discounted time warps like Seal of Insights. And if they don't hard bargain or abandon you, then you're just gonna lose, especially with promising futures into it and stuff like that. Um, this deck can just win the game, but yeah, just there's no world in which they're like tasking an applied researcher, they're empowering it and then comboing off, right? They would need like an echo in play or something randomly in order to even make that a possibility. So I'm not worried about this variation. I'm sure it can kill on like turn 4 or something if they just don't interact with your applied researchers, but we're not living in a world where that can happen for the most part. So with this premise, every non-purple deck lose to Lux? No, no. I mean, like we can talk about. All right, how many ways do we? Because they can't play it, activate it, and then combo off. They have to play it the previous turn. So you know, just going through here, it's like okay, well I can falling star it in order to kill it. I can singularity it in order to kill it, right? Maybe double stoop Bellows Breath if I'm completely desperate, but there are ways that our Kaisa deck can kill it, right? We aren't really playing that many creatures, right? It's literally only 3 Sowing Scouts. So if I, for our Azir friend here, I'm sure is on 0 removal spells. Okay, well, this guy, I guess, is gonna lose to it guaranteed, without any charms or coals. But charm and coal are definitely both a thing. I mean, crumbling sands on the boards, ashes, stuff like that. There are ways to beat this deck. I do think you need to respect it a little bit, in theory. But yeah, my overall take is that I don't. I mean, I think the card's like fine. It's just gonna be good in cast against the decks that can't beat it, and then against the decks that can beat it, or they'll charm it, or they're falling star it, or um they will star-crossed it. Like any sort of removal spell for it will they'll call it. Like, yeah. And if you guys really want to beat the deck, I will show you the best card in the game against it, as somebody already pointed out. As they're uh, literally 0% if you just cast an Imperial or Divine Judgment against them. You just they just lose the game on the spot, guaranteed. So you can always sideboard Divine Judgments if you want. If you're out of green, then the new counter spell will be quite good. Wherever Crumbling Sands is, just save this for like their time warp, and you probably just win, especially if they're like trying to time warp off of um, promising features and stuff like that. It just sets them back too many runes. So yeah, challenge is a thing, rampage is a thing. Like literally, just don't let them untap with this card. Whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing, kill the applied researchers, and then move on with your time. Yeah, invert's okay. I think invert's a little bit inconsistent of a way to win, but it is a decent sideboard option if you don't have access to anything else, and if you're already like boarding this card into like Ezreal control or something like that, then I think invert's fine. So yeah, that's my overall opinion on Lux. I personally believe that the researcher is fake, but if I just wanted to like, reminds me of like people doing like old COD lobbies where they're farming no scopes or whatever, and they're just running into 100 games until they get like the 5 games where they just don't kill the applied researchers, and they're like, "Look, guys, I won on turn 4 because of this card that they just didn't kill." I went turn 2 Lux into turn 3 applied researchers, empowering it, and then they didn't kill either thing, and I somehow won on turn 2. Imagine that. I don't actually know Zelenius, but realistically, this deck's all spells, so they're gonna have cast something beforehand anyways. Yeah, sorry. I don't know how to do anything about the ads. Maybe it's like an audio balancing thing where, well, currently I have everything maxed in terms of how my audio out is, so I can't actually increase my audio to make that better. So, sorry about that. What? So I can get to some of the other stuff first. I kind of want to go through some of these lists and see. Surprised to see a Kaisa list doing this well, but um, yeah, I guess this temporal reach plus Ferris Forerunner nonsense is pretty good. Um, just protecting your thing from any sort of star-crossed shenanigans. It's quite nice against some of the purple decks. You can't counter Time Warp with Sands if Sands is from Promising. Oh, that's good to know. But yeah, you just have to keep it in hand, so. Opinions on Nasus. Thinking competitively. No, I think there's some cool builds in Nasus, but he's definitely in like a metal tier in my opinion. Well, not quite full metal tier. I would put him at like Darius tier, which is, it's done some tops and stuff like that. If you end up running into some good matchups, it's probably fine, but overall I think Nasus has a few too many bad matchups in general. Temporal and Ferris doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't trigger the death knell. It's more just like if they target it with a like a star-crossed or something like that, then you can save it from the star-cross. So, yeah. I like Draven. I think Draven's quite good. I think he has a couple of bad matchups, so that's like a real problem. I think the big pain point for a lot of decks is just this. Oh, is this like a tempo Ezreal? What is this? Okay. This isn't. I was gonna say the pack control Ezreal combo deck. I don't know what this is. This is like a tempo Ezreal list that's, I guess, just doing all the applied researcher stuff. It's controlling, but just without all the pack stuff, which I think is slightly worse. I think that Pack of Wonders is broken, but maybe that version is a little bit too soft when the pack does get killed, and people have started playing a lot more Gear Hate because of that. So Fiora just doesn't have anything special going for her. She doesn't really do anything fantastic, so she's a little bit too fair. I think Akali is kind of in the same boat as most of these decks, where it's just like you're not doing anything unfair. Most of these decks are doing something inherently unfair that are performing well. Ferris Forerunner is like the only unfair thing that Akali gets to do with like Defy backup, so you really have to leverage that. But I think most decks have adapted enough to be able to answer Ferris Forerunners relatively easily, even through Defy sometimes. So yeah, and then obviously the decks didn't really draw too much. So the only unfair things, I guess your Stella is kind of unfair too, but you have to see both of these cards in combination. So yes, I agree. Pack Ezreal is a snooze fest to play against, but it is something to note. Yeah, here's so this is exact. Yeah, this is exact. So he ended up getting the person I just played against got ninth at this event. So if people want to see the Yi list he was playing, that's right here. He played in the Nova's event. So um, kind of. I'm debating between a few different decks. I am considering Akali. I might play Kennen. I might play Aurelia. Those are like kind of the main decks that I'm looking at right now. If I had to put them, it's basically like Kennen or Aurelia if I'm trying to win, and Akali if I'm just trying to best of. So I haven't really decided on if I'm trying to best of or if I'm trying to do other things. Wow, Ocean Drake, that's crazy. Um, can move in, drop an ambush, move out. Yeah, I've done that a little bit where my Kali list I think has like actually even know where it is. There's like a few different Akalis, or there's like obviously the combo version that's like trying to do Spell Songers and Twilight Revelers, but this is just bad. It requires you to untap with too much in order for you to actually do the combo. More aggressive versions that are using like Grim Apothecaries and Inferno to like abuse the legend is like cute and all, but when you're doing stuff like this, it's just like as soon as you fall behind points, like what do you do? So even like all these Morganas, I'm sure were intended to be played with the Kali, but it's just like so good at breaking and then so terrible at anything else. So yeah, it's just too much. So yeah, both of those have been very quickly retired. This is one of the things I wanted to try, which we'll see if it comes down to it, is just like maybe trying to do Zanya's Vile Maw Defy stuff as just like a big ambush guy with like maybe we can cast off of Jins and stuff like that. But obviously, if I'm just relying on a big Vile Maw to win the game, then I'm just gonna lose every time as soon as they decide to Starcross me and I don't have the Defy. And even if you do have the Defy, the issue about against those decks is you typically only have one Defy, and then they're just gonna like, oh, you defied it, then I'll just play Fizz and bounce it again anyways, and you're just like, great. So yeah, I don't think that this is particularly gonna work either. So say anyone built a good Zed deck? No, not really. I mean, I think that the best thing that Zed can do, to be honest with you, as something I was working on, is using this chosen champion with Ride the Wind is like kind of broken because you just like go in, you double conquer, you get 2 tokens, and then you're off to the races, right? And then you like get to go home. You can swap out. So I think that this guy is actually really really broken. But honestly, his Sig spell it leaves a little bit to be desired. Um, just because it costs a power, man. Like power spent early is so tough. So I'm hoping that something like this can be a little bit better for like a Zed shell, and at least it's doing something interesting for Zed specifically, um, rather than the alternative, because the alternative is just like you do a Draven cosplay, and we just play we just play a Draven list, and it's just like why are we even Zed? And the answer is like oh, there's not really a good reason other than a cool best of, so it'd be cool. Um, yeah. Oh, you got top 32 in my set list? Yeah, that's nice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so go over some of the rest of these lists from Nova's event. I guess I can look at Eric Lew's. Eric's a good player. What was he cooking with? Uh, okay. It's a very interesting take on Miracle. My list looks pretty different than his, so I don't really like all the two drops personally. Um, I think that they're kind of a bait. The issue with like this deck is you don't draw that many cards. You just have good card selection, so sometimes you just get bricked up when you have too many twos in your deck. Um, and then he's not playing Tentacles, which seems crazy to me. But currently, my issue I've had with my Kinnan list is Diana's a really bad matchup. Um, Not that I've seen much Diana apparently at this event, but Diana is always the problem. But then Diana just like auto loses to like Rek'Sai and Kaisa and Ezreal and stuff like that. So whenever people are like, "What is the best deck?" I'm like, nothing really stands out as like unbeatable, right? Everything has some sort of bad matchup, so it's just kind of pick and choose as to what you want your bad matchups to be. So, yeah, that's my take so far. To the images. Whenever I go to my decks. Sure. Is there like an image somewhere that does the deck? Let me see. I think if I like export it. I see. I guess this is always a good way to actually look at these whenever I'm doing it, but below. Maybe I'm just a boomer. I don't see it. Stack duplicates. Okay. I scroll down, I don't see it. Maybe I'm blind. Oh, on Riftx. I'm Riftx. Okay, sorry. I thought we were talking about both of our archives. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Down here is much better to analyze. You're right. So this is our top 8 Yi, which looks like basically nothing changed with the exception of the challenge got turned into a rampage. The primal strength, I guess, got turned into Twilight Shroud, which is like fine, and then everything else is the same. This is basically what I expected out of Yi. There's not really much of a reason for it to change at all. The deck was already doing well as is, so I think this is basically what Yi will be playing for a long time, and the deck's just good. The only thing I think is a little off is this triple Sabo. I don't know if triple Sabo is really necessary. It's really the only thing that you're trying to Sabo is the Aurora decks. And as we saw to this metagame, nobody was playing Aurora. So, but whether that'll be the case at RQs or not, that's like a separate thing. So, about Aurelia. Let's see what this guy's Aurelia list was. Oh yeah, this was like the random Ocean Drake, one Guardian Angel. Yeah, these lists look super greedy to me. These find your center lists, I don't really agree with them. They just seem so slow. I mean, the one thing I like about the Aurelia deck is it is one that can kind of hold so long as you have an Aurelia on a battlefield. She can just get really big and hold pretty well. But yeah, I don't know about Ocean Drakes and stuff like that. Aurelia is a list I'm working on. I think she's just competitive, but her real issue is that she can like beat any deck, but she can lose to herself so easily. So, look at Diana list that plays Swain. I don't know which event it was. Is it this one? No. This one? No. Yeah, I don't know where the actual list is. Tier list will drop Friday, I believe, is when Anton's going to publish it. So we just want to do it on release day. So I'm going to swap a Saba for on Slaughter Primal. Yeah, it just depends upon what you're targeting, like I said. So What are Rek'Sai's best matchup? Rek'Sai actually has one of the best matchup spreads, to be honest. I think if people are gonna ask me about like a list that's slept on, it's probably Rek'Sai. It just has any issue against like Ferris Forerunner decks can be a problem. Anything that's like actually trying to play fair Riftbound. But it's really good into like Diana and Ezreal and stuff like that. So won a recent championship. Is that one of these? What the hell? Set one by for a city challenge into Lux no less. With the old combo version. This is like literally is this old meta? It has to be, right? Because the tournaments are going on now. Yo, my man out here playing. I wonder if I'm just playing my list pretty much. He's got one Fade Dragon, but outside of that, he's just playing my list. It's very funny. Or I can scroll down as people requested. They even got the sideboard Lucian. My goat. That's so funny. Uh, Turn him sideways. China versus NA. Is that on here? Should yellow decks be scared of the tentacle card? I think everyone should be scared of the tentacle card. Did you DM me, Zach, or did you post it in one of these chats? I don't think I have. Do I have links turned off? I know somebody posted in our Discord somebody or once upon a time. I can try and search it out. Um, Image. Let's see. Uh, um, Gonna see if I can find this list because this was my original topic of discussion that I wanted to show for people. Because like one of the questions they get the most is how do we evaluate decks or how do I evaluate decks just by looking at them. Here we go. So let me pull this up because people were asking about it. Sorry. Still boomer, so how I search for things is probably not the most efficient. It's not going to do what I want it to. Perfect. Well, shoot. How do I do this? Linked in the chat. I don't see it. It's probably got you like shadow banned when it comes to links. If you can DM me on, well, oh, my Discord's making noises. I see. That is totally my bad. Sorry for the people that heard my Discord DMs earlier. I forgot to turn streamer mode on. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. I was about to say, I was pretty sure you had me on Discord, so. That's perfect. Is it? Said it was the. Not the Neva list. This one? Oh, this one. No. The hell is this? Someone's locals? God damn it. Oh, I found it. Okay, we finally got there. Okay. Boomerman has found his way to get to the deck list that we're talking about. Only took about 10 minutes, but we got there. Got there in the end. Is that going to be viable again with some GP deck? I don't know if sets or GP is that much better for set than Camel was, because it just does the same thing, but with one more might, but costs you 2 power, so I don't know if GP's cool, but I don't think they entirely thought through that card. Okay, so this was like one of the things that I want to talk about as a way to evaluate decks, as this is doing something that's very interesting or unique. And this was actually something that I talked about um, last week, and the idea of like swaying Porobot right in the wind and finding the best way to do it. Granted, I think I was trying to do this out of Mel. I wonder if I still have that. Yeah. As my granted, I didn't end up having the 2-drop spell, but a random Mel list that we had here that's doing the same thing. Swains, Ride the Winds. The only exception being the rebuttals to protect it, and then obviously trying to use the Porobots. Diana is just a better deck, so that's the big thing, obviously. Um, the main issue that I ran into is the same one that this one does, which is this. I don't know that Swain fixes any matchups for you. I think it makes like your good matchups better and then your worst matchups worse. So um, and the reason that I analyze that is I know where Diana's weaknesses are, and that Diana really struggles into anything that just is able to kill all of her units. So she's pretty unit light, and all of her spells require you to interact with the units in some sort of way, shape, or form, right? So, like, Starcross, you have to bounce your own guy. Moonfall, you have to do combat. Eclipse, you have to do combat. Stupefy, you have to do combat, etc., etc. Ride the Wind, you have to have a unit in order to do all these sorts of things. So, because of that, Swain is in kind of a similar spot, in my opinion, where this deck is just going to still lose to what you were already losing to. So the Ezreal decks of the world, the Kaisas of the world, all those sorts of decks are still going to destroy you, and Swain doesn't really help with that. That being said, Swain does help with the situations where it like forces your opponent to have to respect it almost. And I think that it's really annoying for a lot of decks when they play into this variation of Diana, because like typically the way that you play around this deck is that you have to retreat out if they have a Hui that's writing, because otherwise Hui can get to approximately 1 billion might, because Ride the Wind is still a card that's legal for some reason. Um, so in those matchups, it creates this situation where if the Diana player is only behind like a point, then you can always threaten like Temporal Breach on a Porobot, play a Swain, play Ride the Wind for game, which is something that's a problem. So probably fixes your Lux Infinite matchup. Probably. It being fragile doesn't matter because they don't ever interact with your board, but anything that scores extra points against the Lux deck is always pretty good. So Laser does not have a Metafy. He's just joking. But you can check us out at Challenger TCG on Metafy. We'll give you all the tips, but even better. 9 2-drop standard now for mid-range decks over playing 8. I think it's just kind of a personal preference sort of thing. With this deck, the reason that they won 9 is because A, they want to play one pretty bad, and then the Porobot is also a 2-drop that you want to have access to later, but you don't necessarily want to play it early, right? Because it doesn't do anything early. The whole point is to discard it to Hui, or to play it later in order to trigger your Swain, or to do the same thing with Temporal Breach, right? Temporal Breach is also here to notably to combine with Rockfall Path, so I'm not sure if Temporal Breach is enough when you don't have access to Rockfall Path. Obviously, it's able to bounce like a Fizz or a Porobot and still do something. But if we're paying like 2 in a power to just get a Fizz trigger, then why aren't we just paying 3 in a power and getting an extra 3 might body out of it? So I'm not as big of a fan of that personally. So, um, but yeah, we played against this list and it is very strong in the stuff that it's already strong against. It's because you're Hui maxing. You basically always have a Hui or a Swain, both of which can win the game on their own. But if you ever just play into a deck that is like playing, God forbid, a Singularity or enough Falling Stars to just burn these things off the face of the earth, then like, yeah, you're just gonna get absolutely cooked. So this deck loses to decks like Rek'Sai and Rek'Sai, Ezreal, Kaisa, all those heavily removal decks, and then it beats pretty much everything else. So that's just kind of the acceptance you have to make playing a deck like this. So, um, Yeah, I answered about the Lux deck earlier because we have it pulled up, and my opinion is that it's not any better than it previously was. People freaking out about this applied researchers card or just don't understand. Like, just kill the researchers. They have to play it and empower it on a previous turn. They can maybe play it and then empower it later if they get to untap with it. But assuming that you just have access to a Starcrossed or something, the issue with cards like this in the Lux deck, right, as opposed to other decks, is that your opponent isn't doing anything because you aren't contesting the battlefield. All that you're doing out of this Lux deck is trying to draw a bunch of cards. So they're just going to be sitting with a bunch of dead removal in their hand anyways. So assuming that they have access to Challenge or Rampage or Falling Star or Singularity or Starcrossed, which basically is a card out of every single color. Even Cole often can get there because the only unit that we have is Soaring Scout, Applied Researches, and the Lux, right? So Call the Weak out of order. There's a card in every single charm out of green. Like we have a card everywhere that is able to kill this thing. So like yeah, they don't have a removal spell for base and they aren't like respecting it and mulliganing for units and then removal spells, then sure. But at the same time, like this deck doesn't do anything else. You don't need 99% of the cards in the deck because if I have a 2 might unit sitting on each battlefield, then I don't have to actually do anything for the rest of the game against this Lux deck. So yeah, there's another one. Diana loses to Jin as well, so there you go. So yeah, that's my biggest frustration with this Diana deck is that I think she's um, playing into it is very frustrating if you're not one of those decks because she just gets to do everything better than quite literally everyone else. She just draws 80 cards a turn, always has access to more resources than you because of the legend ability. This chosen champion is just should never have been printed. I hate this. Hate her so much. Uh, Not the real Diana though. The real Diana is cool. How good do you think it was previous? I put it in like A tier. If you're putting for like a specific spot that I put the Lux deck at, it wasn't quite as good as like the top 5 or 6 decks, but it was just a tier below. So I think like a top deck is where top 10 is where I had it, and I think that that hasn't really changed in my opinion. If people are playing like this Diana Swain stuff, then that'll be tough. But Diana was already previously a bad matchup because they were just naturally playing like hard bargains and abandons, and then once they were playing like the Arena's Greatest plus the um, Sprite Fountains, it became like even rougher for you. So yeah, it was like already a losing matchup for the Lux deck typically. But yeah, if you're playing into a bunch of like E's and these like mid-range slop decks, I think that you're going to be doing just fine, going into what was the most recent event being Nova's event. Like most of these decks up here at the top are going to perform particularly well against. Um, so especially this kind of list that doesn't even access to tentacles. So yeah, open deck list isn't super common. So if you want to play the Lux deck, then yeah, I think that siding applied researchers is a viable option for sure. If you just want to like, if you're playing into somebody who is going to take out all the removal spells, but even then, like, because of the Lux, they're already kind of incentivized to want to keep removal spells in against you, in my opinion. So because we're like advertising this Lux out here, it's always a little bit of a problem. So, um, yeah, maybe you can just YOLO it and just hope that they let you untap with the applied researcher for some reason. But why do I think the Tentacles card is good? I think it's there's inherent risk typically when it comes to scoring points in Riftbound, right? And so the reason why the Tentacle cards is good is because you have very little risk that you have to associate with having to play it. Obviously, it's best out of Kennen. Um, for those who aren't aware, we're talking about Up from the Deep. So I've been the biggest believer in this card personally, as it just play 2 tokens with Flash Strike or Flow in this game, right? So specifically out of Kennen, the fact that we always have access to an additional +2 might means that this is just a better faithful manufacturer, right? Because that's a 2 might and a 1 might. And then additionally, it just gives us access to more tokens. So in the later in the game, so what one Up from the Deep is threatening to score half of the points you need in the game. And meanwhile, while you're just throwing little tentacles out there, you can be developing things in base because they're very low cost units, right? So your opponent's not going to want to like commit actual resources because maybe you'll have like a Rasa or a Nocturne or something in the base that can actually run over the real units, while the Tentacle's just going to score for free. So that's my personal take as to why I think Up from the Deep is maybe the best card in set 4 printed. Um, to be honest, set 4 was not super strong outside of signature spells, of course. But yes, and specifically in Kennen, it's faithful manufacture on steroids. And even if you're playing like a Diana deck or something, where just any amount of like they have such broken spells like eclipses and stupefies and stuff like that. So any amount of might is often enough out of Diana in order to make this card look good, right? So I think this is the type of card that can potentially help with Diana because I don't think it'll fix Ezreal because Ezreal just has access to 6 Bella's Breath because Fizz is still legal for some reason. So I don't think it'll help with that one, but it will help into like Kaisa potentially, where you just like, are they going to Falling Star your 2 tentacles? No. If you're playing into the Cold decks or the Rek'Sai decks and they're like trying to Falling Star Call you and you have these tentacles, it's really helpful. So, um, yeah. And then in the worst case, you can always play it with Fizz and then it just becomes, your Fizz becomes a Vanguard captain into the matchups uh, where this is good, right? So. Is Up from the Deep going to be in every purple deck or just Kennen? I think that it will mostly just be in Kennen, like guaranteed, but I think every purple deck should consider it. Basically, every purple deck that I build starts with it to some degree. I think some people were asking about Draven. I don't think my Draven list currently has Up from the Deep in it, but you know, maybe it's something that I should consider. Just because Draven typically has access to enough cards and it wants to like actually be winning combats rather than just throwing out little guys and letting them die. But I mean, I will say that tentacles are very annoying to play against this deck, where you just like have a little tentacle that's sitting out there, and you're like, well, I have to commit a real unit to it, and they just have like a Kaisa or a Noxus Hopeful sitting in the back that's just gonna get me. So I think tentacles might be something I'd consider in this Rek'Sai slot, or potentially other things too. Just because maybe the accelerate off of Rek'Sai isn't as necessary, and just having the extra units is nice. So yeah, Zane's call list has 3. It's insane for Kha'Zix for sure. Think about Draven in this meta. I think Draven's good. If you like Draven, you like doing combat, then play some Draven. Draven's solid. He has a couple of like iffy matchups, and like the Ezreal control that could be a little bit rough. But that's kind of the case for a lot of decks that just don't have access to the untargetables, like the Camels and the Akalis of the worlds. With or without allowing Kennen. I had like a Kennen list that I was trying to work on. I think it's in my builder. No, okay. This was like my original allowy list that was trying to do like baited hook into allowies and spectral matrons and vanguard captains stuff like this, but it just ran. It fell too far behind on points early, so I think I need to change this up to actually look a little bit more like a Rek'Sai list, in my personal opinion, and then play like some lacerates and Cold Weeks and stuff like that, and try and win that way. Any advice as a first time seller? Yeah, you can DM me on Discord if you want some advice. My typical advice is that pre-release prices are going to be higher than anything else. So if you can get a price now, then um, you know, you should always take it. This isn't something that we talk too much about on Challenger, just because you know the secondary market has anything to do with the competitive scene. But you know, one thing you can do is you can follow price trends. These are things that just historically happen, right? So we're seeing like a recent spike in a lot of the signatures from set 3. Just as the new set comes out, people still want access to some of these old cool signatures and stuff like that. But you know, there's a point where this card hit $230 at some point, a little bit later into all this sort of stuff. So if you're um, looking at like when to sell, it's always, it doesn't matter what you look at. Like the answer is 9 times out of 10 going to be at the top, which is as soon as it As the set comes out, right? So I don't know if they might have forgotten to put signatures on TCG Player for some reason, but yeah, so I don't have any actual price trends to go with. For some reason, they just have the over numbers. God, people are getting destroyed. Do not buy these. This is my other advice. Do not buy these at these prices. These uh these alt arts are way too common for this already to be $400. But anyways, yeah. If you want more specific advice, then you can always DM me on Discord, and I'm always down to help out with people with stuff like that. How's your even feel into Aurelia and Diana? I think it's fine. The biggest issue we were running into with our Draven deck was into like the nonsense Ezreal deck, which is kind of the case for a lot of things. I think that deck is annoyingly good. It's the type of deck that's just like 100 to 0 um, into basically every matchup, where either they're just going to crush you or I'm sure one of these, surely some of these, yeah. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, this is like not this exact list, but this is kind of the shell. So you're just abusing the fact that you can Pack of Wonders your Fizz, Pack of Wonders your Bewitching Spirit in order to deny your opponent of cards. You let them score a million times, you don't ever play the game, and then eventually you run them out of cards with Bewitching Spirit, and then you just start fizzing them with Bellows Breath to kill every unit they have, and as soon as you start having resources, you also have 1,000 to Watcher plus Bellows Breath. You just have a million ways in order to clear their whole board. And then eventually you get to the point in the late game where, like, even if you're playing into stuff like Ferris Forerunner, you can just start across it back to their hand, and then you can Bewitching Spirit in order to make them discard it. So very, very obnoxious list that honestly will lock you out of the game very, very quick. But this deck is every matchup feels like it's either 100% or 0% because what it does is so consistent thanks to the Legends ability and Stack Deck and Stupefy and just all these ways to draw a million cards. Um, it's always going to be doing the same thing. So either you're going to just auto win the game because they don't have an answer to this, which a lot of decks do, or you're going to lose to a deck like, Rek'Sai is a perfect example for a deck that like crushes this just because it spits out so many tokens and applies so much pressure early that it just doesn't let your game plan go on. But I think this deck is like one of the gatekeepers of the format where a lot of decks are just guaranteed going to lose to this deck. And then a lot of decks are going to auto win this against this deck if you have access to enough untargetable stuff, which is basically just the camel or the green Akali or Baron in some instances, but often they can just make you discard your entire hand before you actually even get to Baron. So metal prices are crazy for set one. Yes, they are. Yes, I think that is the case. Ekpilot is that for reference for those who aren't aware, the crystal rose cards are the same rarity as alt arts, which historically the most expensive alt art that we have ever seen in the history of Riftbound is this alt art Kaisa, which at its peak was like $90. Maybe if I go back a little bit longer, yeah, when Kaisa at like the literal peak of Riftbound when nobody can find product, it was like 140. Um, so this is the highest that we've ever seen in alt art, and it's at this rarity, of which I can promise you there are about a million cards that you didn't even know existed. If I were to go to alt art, or well, let me put it in showcase. Okay, I guess it puts it in showcase, but they're not actually showcase cards. So, the most expensive cards that we see here, $12. Other RAs are maybe like $20. Teemos are getting up to $20, and this is set one stuff. So the vast majority of these are $3 to $5. I don't think that they'll quite go to that price range, but it is worth noting that they are at this rarity, so should be extremely common. They are not the same as like over numbers where these are you get like one every 2 or 3 boxes. So yes, if you do not buy the Crystal Rose skins at those prices, and if you have them, you should sell them. Yeah, no worries. Facebook's always the best place, and then if you just do like PayPal goods and services, usually PayPal will have your back on all that sort of stuff. So I think Renekton is one of the worst, if not the worst, legend in the game. For those who didn't see it, we're participating in the Nations Clash thing, and Renekton was drafted 48th out of 49th. So the only legend that did not get picked was Vi. So with how the system works, so answers to this in Control Cannon, yeah, Rek'Sai is your best anti-control deck. So let me see if there's a good Rek'Sai list that I like the look of. Because there's a couple of different ways that you can build it just based on what your personal preference is. Um, Let me see. Will this work if I just search Rek'Sai? Yeah, okay. We have the top 8 Rek'Sai lists. So, uh, sure. This is close enough. You can also play, yeah. You're just like Falling Stars, Cold of Weeks. You have ways to break into battlefields. Um, I would maybe play a couple more Hidden Blades, but I mean, this is honestly as cookie cutter as it gets. You're playing a bunch of commons, and you're killing every unit that your opponent plays with like Coals plus Falling Stars. You can even play like Piercing Lights if you want. If you're playing into a bunch of Aurelias and maybe like Imperial Decree is an option, you have like a million options to make this deck, and yeah, it's just good. So honestly, this deck's like obnoxiously good. So this is my personal pick for sleeper deck of the format. The issue this deck has is it's kind of like a rock paper scissors format where this deck is gonna get demolished by like the Dravens of the world, the Master Yis of the world. Those decks are gonna lose to the Ezreal decks, and then this is gonna beat up on the Ezreal decks. So yeah. And that's because normal Kai'Sa is was cheaper. Yeah. I do agree that like just because these things have started at such a high price, it's gonna take a little while for them to go down because people are gonna be dumb about it, but yeah, they are. I promise that those Crystal Rose cards. You guys can quote me if that Ari holds $400. I I don't even know. I'll buy one and give them out if it's still $400 in a month from now. Um, Selling Origins metal cards and signatures, crazy prices recently. Yeah, I mean they're things are definitely going up. The only thing I will say is it's theoretically possible for them to reprint Origins because I know they've said previously that they don't like set one being so much higher than MSRP while it's still like an active set that people are playing with. So it's always possible that they will reprint set one. The metal cards, as far as I know, those are gone. So there's levels to it. I've been selling a lot of my stuff, but I've also been like buying stuff after I sell it. So that's my take on all that stuff. But we have a cool guest on Wednesday who I think will for our podcast. So we'll probably do a lot more financial talks about him because I know he's really into the financial side of Riftbound. So we'll probably do that on Wednesday's podcast a lot more for those who are interested. Callie and Best on Dine, I'm just eating meat, man. Some news of CCG's a bit discouraging. Can you show a sideboard of what? Yeah, LS is our guest on Wednesday. Um, I mean, Akali and Bessa and Diana are all pretty good decks, so I think they're all. At least you're not playing like a terrible deck. So Diana's obviously the best one of those, and where is? I mean, there's the most recent list that we were just looking at. Let me pull it back up for you. But while you're looking for it, you can always just go through Riftdex. This is just riftdex.com, and they have access to all this sort of stuff. So you can just go to Legends Constructed and then Diana. Um, and any of these lists that look particularly good. The most recent one that did well was the Sideways Showdown that had a lot of good players in it, and it was just utilizing like the Swain plus Temporal Beach pitch bot. But I will say that Riftbound in general is a very difficult card game for people who are new to card games. So yeah, I was gonna say that it's card games are very difficult. I think one of the hardest part for people is like learning to improve and knowing where you went wrong. So my general advice for that is if you ever do something and then the outcome of what you did was not what you expected, then you probably made a mistake. What I really mean by that is like if you do combat and then you like run in with a unit and then it dies on the next turn, and it's like okay, well now you need to know that if you're running in with units, you should actually have access to like your spells in order to protect them. That's the whole point of this Diana deck is you want to spend your early turns developing and then do showdowns. You should never be doing it a showdown, if you have a 2 might and they have a 3 might unit, you're doing a showdown, and then you're just tapping out and then letting your unit die for free. That's never a good play. So just be more patient. Don't feel like you have to score every single turn, and things will be a lot easier, especially if you're playing Diana. Develop some units in base, and then score while you're holding up energy and being able to play all these spells in your opponent's turn. Yeah. So that's my general advice, and then try that, and hopefully that will help. The Discord, our Discord is available through the Metafy. Um, but if you want to personally add me on Discord, or you can always, my DMs are open, so I just typed it there. It's Argan, Aragan. If you need some help with all that sort of stuff, I'm always down to help. I also buy cards too, all the time, so that's part of it. But I will not buy new set stuff. I always am thinking a little bit better than that, so I let prices settle personally. But yeah, you can add me there and message me, and I can direct you to the right Facebook groups and stuff after stream. Um, yeah. Whenever people ask me like how to improve and the most common mistake, it is definitely the thing that I've seen as somebody who coaches people for a living. People commit their resources too quickly, or they commit their units out of decks like Diana, and they'll just like commit a unit, let it die for free, and then just like play something else. And the other opposite of it is true, where they see their opponent as units and they have access to like a Moonfall, and they'll like move their unit in, and then they'll play a Moonfall rather than develop units. You need actual units. You can't just, if you're ever getting to a point where you're like conquering both battlefields and then not leaving any units in base, you're probably making a mistake, because if they just clear your battlefields at any point, then you just lose the game on the spot. Riftbound is not a forgiving game. If you make a mistake like that, then you will be punished and you will lose the game off of getting your entire board wiped. If you at least have something in base afterwards, then, if they run over your unit, then you have something to crack back. But the worst case scenario that you're trying to avoid is you're committing units to a battlefield that you lose them all, and then you don't get to do anything. Then they get to not only conquer, but they also get to hold if you're unable to kill the units that go back in. So it's a big dance where you have to be prepared to either protect your units at the base or to be able to kill the things that just came back in. Otherwise, you'll probably lose the game. So there's my general advice for a newer player who's trying to improve. Hopefully that'll be helpful. So 3 GP and 3 Camel is 6 issues for Blue Purple that they have to deal issues with. Yeah, GP has the issue of like GP doesn't really work as, oh, I guess it does, because they can't minus might it. So if you really do are a body deck and you just want to beat like these Ezreal decks, then you definitely can do that by GP maxing and then Camel maxing. But you have to be playing body specifically in order to do that. So there are ways to do it. Not every deck has access to it. It's basically the only untargetables that we have if you're running into this Ezreal deck that we're talking about is you can play Camel, you can play Gangplank, who has this cool new art. Then you can play Akali's, specifically the green one, just because it can't be chosen outside of combat, so it's always around. Granted, they can still star-cross it inside of combat, and it can't really hold the battlefield on its own, so this one I think needs a lot more support in order to make her work. And then, obviously, like the only other real untargetable card we have is like Bear and Asher, but obviously it costing 10 energy is quite a bit, and even some of the decks that are built to get to that will have some issues, so... As I mentioned, we'll have like a full meta tier list coming out here in ideally Friday. I think I'm gonna record that with Anton tomorrow, and then I'll get it edited for everybody while we're at Gen Con. So if anyone ends up actually showing up to Gen Con, we'll be there. Feel free to come say hi if you see us. I think a few of us are playing One Piece. We'll obviously be around the Riftbound area as well, because we're going to be recording some content for the Riftbound side of things. So yeah, that'll be part of it. But, I'll answer a few more questions here and then probably end up calling the stream. So yeah, if anyone has any extra questions, then feel free to send them my way. Is Ezreal the best Blurple deck right now? I think probably Ezreal is like a top deck for me if I had to guess. I think that his matchup spread is really obnoxious. Where, like I mentioned, he has a bunch of 100 0 and 100 a bunch of 0 100 matchups. Where I think a good Master Yi player will be tough. A good Lux player will basically be impossible. Rek'Sai is going to be very difficult, but these decks are pretty rare, and especially now that the set one best ofs have rotated, when it comes to the RQ level, people are going to be a lot less interested in playing Lux and Master Yi when there's not a best of to go for, right? So I think that that portion of your bad matchups will be difficult. My Kinnan list has been able to do relatively well into Ezreal, so I'm not as concerned with it, but there are a lot of decks like this variation of Kinnan will never beat that Ezreal deck in a million years. So I think Shin is very bad, unfortunately. Whenever you're playing a bad legend like that, you just have to maximize what he does well. So you just maximize on charms, hope to kill every unit your opponent has, and then, if your board gets broken, you probably lose. As you've already mentioned, it's kind of a universal rule of Riftbound, where if you're ever left with 0 units in play, then you're going to lose the game, unfortunately. So whenever you're playing a hold deck like Shin, it creates so many situations where every turn of the game, they can just clear your board very easily if you're just having to commit units to a battlefield like that. So that's the real issue with decks like Shen. Is that, yeah, they, as soon as your opponent they can look at their hand every turn, and as soon as they have the ability to break your board, you lose the game, and you have to this can happen for 4 to 5 turns while they're just developing units of base, and you're just sitting there holding, and basically at any point that they clear your battlefield, then you just lose. So yeah. Was the comparison of Nasus to Annie unfair? He plays so much better than I anticipated. Yeah, I mean, I think Nasus, this is one that a lot of people have been talking about, so maybe there's some more hype for the big dog. Um, but, I do think that it's more to the extent that, this is a very expensive legend ability that we're seeing, compared to Annie that's able to get it every single turn in a better color combination. So, for me, it's more of a laugh because of the old meme of Dave saying that the PG legends are the worst in the game, and obviously that was not the case. So that's just an old meme that us old heads kind of hold on to. So then they print stuff like this that's like kind of a worse Annie. Technically, there are some reasons that this isn't, but yeah, just in general, it's definitely close to that. So yeah, that's more my take on it. And I think that the Nessus deck is fine. I think he's like lower B tier, upper C tier. He does some cool stuff. He loses to Starcross like anyone else that's trying to cast things that cost 7. But, such is life. He top 32 at Nova's events. I mean, top 1/3 isn't bad for a dog like that. That's honestly about where I would put that deck in terms of there's a Shen who top 32. I don't know if that's what we're talking about. A couple of them. Oh, Angelo's list. The Shen guy. So, if you're looking to play Shen, I would probably just copy what Angelo's doing. He's a good player. He top 8'd on Yi, so, he knows what's going on. So, do you think Diana works well in a Kaisa deck? I saw it placed in the Chinese deck that plays top 16. Yeah, it's fine. There's always an issue, and typically that people will run into where playing 3 cost units is really difficult, especially out of Kaisa. So the reason why you don't want to be playing cards like Diana is that they're good going second, but they're very bad going first, because there's no time that you can actually cast this unit, because you're typically going like 2 cost unit into your Kaisa, and that's in your chosen champ zone. And then if you're playing it on like turn 3 on, then she's kind of weak. So that's the specific reason why you don't see her as commonly. But that being said, having something that's a little bit nice going second never hurts. So you're always advantage going first anyways. So doing some things to making yourself feel better going second is never a bad thing. What do I got Zed at? Probably B tier if I had to guess. He's still blue purple or purple red, so he can't be that bad, but he'll be B tier. We have an ID on my Kinnan list. It's definitely linked in it's linked in our Metafy, so anyone in the Discord, I can scan it for you guys. This is what I'm currently working on, so you can go back and take a look if you want. This list will change quite a lot, but this is what I'm currently working with, so there you go. There'll be a secret thing there just for you. You can go back in the VOD if you want to see it. Nobody else but the people that was here get to know I showed it. Um, Best Aurelia deck list at the moment. I don't think Aurelia has changed at all. A lot of these like top legends that we're gonna see in the S tier, they just really haven't changed. So I've tried a couple of Aurelia lists that had access to some random stuff. I was trying aggro Aurelia. I didn't really work out that great. Um, I think this is like a pretty stock Aurelia list where you're not doing anything crazy. I think I put in one Twilight Shroud. That's really it. I literally didn't even change the sideboards. So this is what we've been testing with internally. Some people aren't as keen on Guardian Angels since like Starcross is everywhere. So, but I feel like in most of the times where you're getting Starcross, you're like losing the game anyways. So I don't know. I think GA is still very, very good. Ambessa versus Fiora. I like the Mono Challenge Ambessa list. I'm not a big Fiora fan, but that's just somebody who's been able to play set for the longest time. Helmet Suppression, I mean, it would completely shut off the Lux Infinite deck for the most part. I don't know that it's worth sideboarding into that, to be honest, because it's so narrow. I would often recommend against when there are 49 legends of in the game, sideboarding cards like this that are only good into one specific deck. And then additionally, if they're playing the researchers, then they can use that in order to like counter this as well. So yeah. Most Kinnan variants right now just bait. Yes. We will be releasing a Kinnan guide the end of next week, so I will talk about what the correct versions of Kinnan are, why there are so many bad variations of Kinnan, and what the correct Kinnan version is to play. So Karox is too slow and doesn't do anything. Unfortunately, we're in a meta game where nobody is able to play anything that costs 6. So because it gets star-crossed, so that like brings down the value of a card like Karox significantly. You can maybe sideboard it, but this is like also a card that you want to support, you want to build around. So, you can make a fun deck out of it for sure, but yeah, it'll just get star-crossed and you'll cry. So Azir is still good, yeah. I think still Azir is still a top, probably a top 5 deck if I had to guess. The only thing that would bring him down a little bit is there will be some more gear hate going around, just because I think it's kind of necessary to play gear hate right now. But yeah, I think Azir is still certainly top 10, maybe top 5. It'll be a YouTube video, so make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube for so that you're notified about that. Hit the bell, smash the like button. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. We do have a Pike guide on Metafy as well, so Rossum's a big Pike guy. He will always be playing Pike, I'm sure. He loves that deck, so it's a cool control deck. I think it's like top of B tier probably, if I had to guess. For the correct build, no. I think most cards in Riftbound are pretty cheap, to be honest, at this point, with the exception of like the 6 spells. So I don't know what the lightning rushes will be, but if you're looking to play Kinnan, you're going to be playing. Um, you're going to need those anyways, but pretty much every other card in the deck is, I think, pretty cheap. I put Aurelia in S tier. Yeah, she's still very obnoxious, but I hate playing Aurelia just because she's like the type of deck where you have to have it every single turn, but because you draw so many cards off of like Stealth Herder typically, you just do have it most of the time. So yeah, I think Aurelia is still S tier deck. Been playing Draven and Rengar a lot. Middle range piles are very good early on. Yeah, I agree with that. I think both those decks are good too. So it's crazy that if you seriously want to get ready for an RQ, you need to play at least one best 3 against 49 decks. I don't entirely agree with that. There are lots of decks that are not meta relevant. I think that most of the time you can just understand what a deck is going to want to do, so long as you understand their color combination. So I think realistically, you just need to understand a color combination more so than you have to play against every single variation of every single deck. But typically, and even then, it's just like certain cards you have to look out against. Like when you're playing against a deck that has Rengar and Punch first, you know how to play against those. But yeah. I'm not personally cooking on an Ambessa list. I know we have some that are posted in the Discord, but typically my recommendation for Ambessa is a bunch of challenges, some mutants that you don't care about dying it, and calling it a day. So, um, all right. Last question I see here. Top Vendetta card that I think doesn't work now, but might be good in the future. That's an interesting one. The only thing I can think of, just because I do think overall this set was very, very weak, is like either Crumbling Sands if we get into a more spell heavy metagame. I think that card has some potential as just a one energy answer to anything. Temporal Breach is a card that will scale super well as the game goes on because just the more enters play effects, the better. Um, is there anything else that I think is like gonna scale super well? You said that specifically doesn't do well, but I still think up from the deep is crazy. So that card will always end up doing well. I think those are really the only ones that I have my eye on. Honestly, the set overall was very weak, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, just overall, the cards from the set are very, very low in terms of power level. So, I don't think that we're going to see a ton of cards from this set see play. But, at least when it comes to opening packs, we have a ton of cool stuff to open and search for. So um, that will still at least be fun for people. But cool. I appreciate everyone's time. We will be back on Wednesday for a normal podcast with, as I already mentioned, a pretty cool guest, in LS. So definitely stop by, and we'll be probably talking a lot about the finance side of Riftbound just as things go crazy, as well as, his take coming from being a, league pro on Riftbound as a game. So, um, yeah, I'll see. Sheltered Courier. We're writing a guide, so that would be my recommendations. We'll have that out in a couple weeks. So hopefully that will help you out if you're looking to play some Kinnan then. But cool. Till next time, everybody. I will see everyone hopefully on Wednesday. Peace out.